Welcome and good evening. Thank you for joining us for our candidate forum tonight for District 4 school board candidates. We welcome tonight Mr. Kyle Gutshall and Mr. Steve Shaffer. Thank you for joining us. My name is David Hutton. I am the chairman for the Shenandoah County Chamber of Commerce, and I'll be the moderator tonight. We thank those partners who made tonight possible. They include the Farm Bureau of Shenandoah County, the Shenandoah County Education Association, the Alliance for the Shenandoah Valley, and the Shenandoah County Chamber of Commerce. This forum is intended to be a civil, nonpartisan discussion of the issues, and we will be respectful of all candidates. I will be asking the questions tonight. All questions asked this evening were submitted online by you, the voters. Our volunteers have reviewed the questions only to ensure that they meet the required criteria. We have received lots of questions for this evening's forum, and we'll do our best to get through as many as possible. Our schedule for this evening, we will start with a 2-minute introduction from each candidate. Then our question and answer session will begin, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question, and then the first individual will have the opportunity to do a 30-second rebuttal. Then at the end, to close, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. We have timers to make sure we stay on schedule. The timer will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds remaining and a red card when you have 5 seconds remaining. We flipped a coin to determine who would go first, and we'll start with our 2-minute opening with Mr. Steve Shaffer.
Thank you, and good evening. Good to be here. I'm Steve Shaffer, and basically I'm running for the school board because of my experience, my compassion, my commitment to the youth of Shenandoah County. And that includes, I previously served on the school board from 1996 till 2003, serving 8 years. In that time, we increased academic rigor, we renovated and expanded some critical infrastructure, and we recruited, retained some high-quality teachers. I've taught in the classroom at both Massanutten Military Academy and done a number of long-term substitute positions within a number of schools within Shenandoah County. I've served on the Shenandoah County Swim League president. I've been on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. I was the founder of Young Life Board and served on the Woodstock Chamber of Commerce. I've always been focused on youth. Again, founding the Shenandoah County Swim League. I've coached, well, actually we also founded the 3 varsity swim teams at the high schools, and I've coached 17 years at Massanutten Military Academy and the last 12 years at Central. I've been the Interact director at Central High School for the last 7 years. As an entrepreneur, I founded Cabin Hill Teas, and we certainly beautified the county and provided jobs with printing of t-shirts. I've worked with volunteering with nonprofits and both coaching and missing a Little League game tonight with my grandson. As we rise out of the pandemic, Shenandoah County schools face an ever-changing, challenging future in educating the next generation. The learning curve to be an effective school board member takes years. I'm the one candidate with a training experience that I can step in on the first day and be effective for the community. Thank you.
Mr. Gutshall.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kyle Gutshall. I'm born and raised here in Woodstock, and I'm a 2020 graduate of Central High School. I attended Shenandoah County Public Schools all the way through from kindergarten to 12th grade, and I participated in multiple extracurricular activities while attending PMMS and CHS. I currently attend Lord Fairfax Community College. I'm pursuing a degree in business administration, and in my free time I enjoy volunteering with the Woodstock Rotary Club, our church, the Woodstock River Bandit, Strawsbury Express. I also do sports commentary at the high school and collegiate level, and I have a radio show at Massanutten Military Academy here in Woodstock. I didn't decide to run for the school board overnight. It took some consideration, but what I wanted to do was get in and make a change, because right now we have a lot of division in our county within the school board and the people of our county. And I think that I bring a unique perspective to the fold. We've never had a candidate fresh out of high school like me that understands what's good and what's bad of the school system. And I believe that I'm the candidate who could bring that sort of perspective in, because we don't have that perspective right now. And I think that that would be a huge asset to our school board. I felt kind of disregarded in the past year and a half or so when I voiced my opinion to our school board. And I think some others around the county feel the same. So I think we need to bring, constituent input back into things, and I believe I'd be the candidate to do so.
Thank you. We'll start with our first question, and Mr. Shaffer will have the first opportunity to answer. Our first question tonight is to name your top 3 priorities as a Shenandoah County School Board member.
The 3 priorities, to me are rather simple. To start, we just need better relationships with not only the community but with the Board of Supervisors. There's been a lot of breakdown in trust over the last year, and virtual and the pandemic hasn't helped. But we need to learn to work together, and this community, it's one community. We want to do great things for the community, and that comes with starting communication. Improve planning and budgeting. If we work together with the Board of Supervisors and we plan out long enough, we can save tax dollars. It wasn't raining when Noah was building the ark. We need to begin planning and working together. We know that certain things are coming up, so let's work on that planning, and let's meet with the Board of Supervisors extensively, and get on the same page much more together. And the third is recruiting and retaining high quality teachers. We do that not only through getting as much out of a tax dollar as we can, but and keeping salaries competitive, but also with benefits, and as much as anything, just building respect for the what the teachers do every day. They get vilified, they get attacked in the headlines of the newspaper, and that just has to end. I'll be the biggest cheerleader for the teachers. That's where the rubber meets the road, and those are my top 3.
Mr. Gutshall.
I kind of want to mirror what I mentioned in the opening statement. First off is transparency. That's really important to me. And I believe that in a representative government like we have, that our elected officials should be taking what the people of our county think into consideration. And I believe that in the past couple of years, that's kind of gone out the window a little bit. So transparency is something that's really important to me. Another thing is, like Mr. Shaffer mentioned, relationship with the Board of Supervisors. We have got to have a relationship where we can sit down and have a meeting, whether it's every 3 months or every couple months, and talk about the issues, because right now the Board of Supervisors and the school board do not have a very good working relationship, and those are 2 important bodies of our county government, and I think that can be improved on. The third thing is discipline in our schools. I think that the discipline is also really faltered as of late. There's a lot of pressure on the teachers from many different directions, and I think that if we work on the discipline, whether it's working to keep kids out of trouble or give them a different way to learn, I think that needs to be a focus, because the teachers already have enough pressure on them to begin with. And I think the discipline, especially that I noticed myself while in high school, is there's a lot of discipline issues going on right now, and that can definitely be fixed.
Thank you. Anything to add?
Not at this time, no.
The next question is for Mr. Gutshall first. What are your plans to address overcrowding in our schools and aging buildings that are reaching the end of their useful life?
I think that, it's an interesting question, because there are some situations around the county where overcrowding is an issue. I know that W.W. Robinson here in Woodstock is definitely one of those schools where overcrowding is an issue, and that was an issue when I was in elementary school. So we definitely need to address that, but it really comes down to thinking about the campuses. We have 3 beautiful campuses where we have our schools divided up, and I think that system is working. I know there have been talks of possibly building another school or 2, but to me right now, the overcrowding issue, it can be looked at down the line, and right now we have numbers actually decreasing as far as students in Shenandoah County. Those that have graduated, those that are going homeschool or private schooling. So we need to look at, well, we do have a little bit of an overcrowding issue, but let's compare it to other areas and say, well, we can go from where we're at right now, and it's always, a good situation and conversation to have. about future plans, whether it's building another school. But I think at this time, putting money into capital improvements would be a good decision. There's definitely some school buildings around the county that have some issues, and I have noticed that firsthand. So capital improvement is going to be important, and putting money back into our schools.
Mr. Shaffer?
Could you
Absolutely.
repeat it for us?
Yes. What are your plans to address overcrowding in our schools and aging buildings that are reaching the end of their useful life?
The overcrowding issue has sort of temporarily gone away. COVID came in. Again, last year was an unusual year. But again, because of COVID, as Mr. Gutshall said, some of the kids have gone to other alternatives, whether it be homeschool or private schools. And so the numbers, we traditionally have had about 6,000 within the schools. That's dropped down to 5,700 right now. And so that's been helpful in terms of the crowding issue. In terms of the capital improvements, 8 or 9 years ago, there was a community effort to study the capital improvements within the county, to seriously take a look at the aging schools and develop a plan. They put a plan together with community support, and that plan was put on the shelf and hasn't been pulled off yet. There's some controversial things in that plan. One of the first things, again, as I said in my opening question, planning is vital. We need to take a look at the plan. As again, with previous experience, the 8 years that I was on the board, I was the chairman of the building committee. I led the charge to expand and put extra classrooms at the elementary level, and then also led the charge to expand, bring air conditioning, bring better water, sewer, and all into the high schools, as well as electrical, and expand some classrooms and also the gymnasium setup. I just have the experience to pull all that together and begin to take it to the community and begin the discussion on that.
Thank you. Our next question, Mr. Shaffer, what policies or actions would you take to retain our teachers, staff, and school bus drivers, as well as to recruit new teachers, staff, and drivers?
The school bus issue is more related to the Department of Motor Vehicles. It's an extensive training, and when the Department of Motor Vehicles shut down, we just had interested individuals who wanted to drive a school bus, but they had to go through 5 different tests to become a school bus driver, and getting those 5 tests, if they missed a number of questions, they had to go back and get another appointment a month and a half later. If you do that enough, they lost interest in the position and they moved on to something else. The teachers, again, a lot of it comes from community support. Again, the pay is one issue. Benefits is something we definitely need to take a look at. For a family to live in Shenandoah County, the family benefits really chew up a paycheck quickly. We need to, as a board, need to take a hard look at the benefit packages. But the third thing, again, is every budget cycle, the teachers seem to be on the front page. There's people in the community that want to complain about what the teachers are doing or not doing. We just need to really, let people know, communicate better, and support our teachers. And that comes again from communication and support amongst the board, as the school board, as well as working closer with the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. Mr. Gutshall, what policies or actions would you take to retain our teachers, staff, and school bus drivers, as well as to recruit new ones?
Sure. Well, when I go around door knocking, and every once in a while I'll run into a teacher that may be concerned with the direction we're moving in, And you may think that teacher pay is the number one thing, but in reality, it's not always the most important thing, and why teachers leave, or bus drivers, or whoever it may be, are important employees all around the school system. You know, I think, like Mr. Shaffer spoke on, is supporting our teachers. And that comes with the community. It also comes with the school board office and our administration. I think we've gone too far or too long rather, with our teachers not really feeling like they have the backing of our school board office or our administrators in general. And that has to change, because the teachers come to work every day, they do their job, and, you know, for example, if they have a discipline issue, sometimes the administration just doesn't do enough. Another thing that I've noticed is teachers, when they try to voice their opinion, something always gets in the way between them and voicing their opinion to the school board office. There's some type of barrier there that is just not allowing the message to get there. And I think that that's really ineffective, because teachers, if they have any type of input, it needs to get to the school board office as soon as possible, because they're at the front line of our school system. And, you know, that is really important to me, is making sure that teachers feel like they can actually speak to the higher ups, the administrator, the superintendent, because if they don't have that, then there is no support there for them at all. You know, also, as far as the teacher pay goes, we do need to explore and paying teachers more money. We also have a substitute teacher issue right now, and that goes for bus drivers as well. If we can develop some type of new program for our substitute teachers and bus drivers, I think that would take some ease off the teachers. We have teachers covering multiple classes in one day right now. That should not be happening. So we have got to fix that to get our school system back in the right direction.
Thank you.
I guess the only thing I might add is, Virginia is in the top 10 states in terms of median income, and yet we are 41st in commitment to per pupil spending. That takes a school board and a school board member to become active in Richmond, to legislate or to lobby the powers that be in Richmond to try to change the formulas, and try to get more support from Richmond.
Thank you. Mr. Gutshall, we received questions regarding the name change. The question is, if elected, do you intend to reverse the name change of the schools at the southern campus? And if so, how would you suggest covering the cost of changing the school name back?
Yeah, I think we all know that the name change has been a huge topic over the last couple of years here in Shenandoah County, and it's an issue that has led to a lot of division within different people. Some people who might have been friends one day, and because they disagreed over the issue, they didn't want to be friends the next day, and that's just not something we can have. As far as the name change goes, the process was extremely flawed. When I would voice my opinion on the matter, it was received, and I would get a response back saying, "Thank you, Kyle." That's about it. And that was frustrating. But we have to look at this. The school name change cannot be the number one topic for the next 4 years. We can't be talking about that, because there's much bigger issues that we're looking at right now coming out of the pandemic, and trying to retain our teachers, and many other issues. So I do think that it was done incorrectly. Now, if elected, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a candidate who's going to listen to the people and what they want to do. If the people want to revisit the issue and talk about it and bring it to some type of vote or referendum or some type of collecting input from the people of Shenandoah County, that's what I would do as a school board member. As far as funding the name change back, there would be absolutely no way I would support using a cent of taxpayer money to do that. It would have to come privately, the money. I don't think that we need to be spending any money to change the names back, because we have money that we need to be spending on other issues that are more important.
Thank you. Mr. Shaffer, if elected, do you intend to reverse the name change of the schools at the southern campus? And if so, how would you suggest covering the cost of doing so?
The name change issue, there are so many things that are on the plate right now. We have test scores, we have teacher retention, we have lack of substitutes, we have so many issues that are laying at the feet of the school board right now to deal with. Bringing that divisive issue back, I'm totally against. I think the change has happened. We need to move on from it. Do I agree with the process and how it was done? Absolutely not. Again, referring back to my experience when we were working on the high schools, we spent a 3-year process developing and designing, meeting with community members, meeting with teachers, getting all the input as to what everyone wanted to see within the schools. We then took that, we worked with the architects, we then built a plan, we then took that plan back to all of the parties involved, and we took more input, but the point is it was a 3-year process. We took time and we worked with the community. I believe that's what should have been done with the name change. It was an issue that needed to be addressed, but right from the beginning, I said that we need to take time on this. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of the turmoil that we ended up with. Being against it, again, I agree with Kyle that, again, we cannot be spending money, changing the names back.
Thank you. Mr. Gutshall, anything to add? No. Thank you. The next question has to do with weekday religious education in our schools. Mr. Shaffer, would you vote in favor of released time during the school day for students to attend weekday religious education?
As part of my nonprofit, I brought Young Life to Shenandoah County. I'm a huge advocate for Christian education, the value that the spirituality brings to the lives of our community members and our children. WRE was in the community at one point, but through a lawsuit, we lost it. At this point, with all of, as I said before, with all of the things that we have laying on our teachers and our children, at the moment I would not vote to put it into the schools. I've strongly advocated for an after-school program, possibly even busing the children to where they need to be. But I would vote for that at the moment. But removing children from the classroom right now, the kids are just too far behind. We need to get them caught up. So at a different time, in another year or two, it's something to revisit. But not at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Gutshall, would you vote in favor of release time for the students during the school day to attend weekly religious education?
Yeah, I've had many conversations with the group that is working to get this back into Shenandoah County Public Schools. And I've done research on my own. I've talked to constituents. I would say yes, I do support weekday religious education. Mr. Shaffer brought up some great concerns, and those are concerns that are kind of shared between different groups of people. There are definitely concerns about bringing the program back into the school system at this time. But, I think that having that opportunity and option available at this time would be beneficial. Now, it doesn't mean you have to attend or that you are forced to attend, but I think just having that program available. It's a successful program in surrounding counties. It's been taking place for many years now. I've talked to constituents who had weekday religious education when they were in school. Like Mr. Shaffer mentioned, they don't have it here in Shenandoah County, and they haven't for a while. But I think bringing it back at this time would be a plus, just to have that option available for those students and the parents of the students who would like to have their child attend this program. They've looked at surrounding counties and seen that performance for students is actually increased as far as when they graduate, whether it's their grades or their accolades or whatever it may be. So I do support weekday religious education, and I think it would be a positive aspect of Shenandoah County Public Schools.
Mr. Shaffer, anything to add? Mr. Gutshall, our next question asks, do you feel that we need to address gender equality in our schools, and if so, how?
Yeah, I definitely think that every student is equal and should be treated equal. We should have no type of discrimination across the county or anywhere for that matter. And this has definitely become a hot topic not only in the state of Virginia, but also around the United States. And our governor, Ralph Northam, released his model policy that the school systems were expected to approve on. And we actually do already have these types of these types of policies in place in Shenandoah County. The thing that concerns me with the model policy that they're trying to bring is it's bringing more burden on the teachers, and it's actually pretty tricky situation. There's some events going on in Loudoun County right now brought on similar to this issue, and I just think it's a risky type of situation to bring the model policy. And now again, I believe that every student is equal and should be treated equally. I don't think that we should be spending any infrastructure money on creating any new bathrooms or anything like that in our schools. It just comes down to being a liability to the teachers, in my opinion, and I think that they already have enough on their plate that trying to teach a class full of 20 or 25 students in these conditions right now is trying enough.
Thank you. Mr. Shaffer. The question is, do you feel there's a need to address gender equality for our students in the schools, and if so, how?
Having taught 6 of the last 7 years, pretty much full time in the variety of different schools, I've been working directly with a lot of the students. As a teacher, I have compassion for every student. It doesn't matter where they are on the spectrum of, but we have to have the students first. I was considered one of those safe teachers that no matter what the issue, a student could come to me, I would listen and would help them work through the situation. I was also supervisor when filling in the gymnasiums of some of the bathroom issues. And again, each one of those was handled with great compassion, working with the teachers, working with the administrators to find a safe alternative so that we didn't have issues in the bathrooms and the locker rooms. I got off the question.
Yeah, that just, is it important to address, and if so, how to address it?
I believe the school board has already addressed the issue. They did have policies in place. They had already taken care of the situation. Again, it's hard to do a blanket, cover everything policy, but they've given the flexibility to the administrators to work with each individual. Again, with where they are, I can guarantee you that there's just not boys or girls walking into deciding one day that this is a prank we want to pull. If that's going to happen, they would end up in a long conversation with the administrators.
Thank you. Mr. Gutshall, anything to add? No. This will be our last question of the night. Mr. Shaffer, the question is, as a school board, can you recommend, as a school board member, can you recommend any policies that would entice our youth to remain in the county after graduation?
Again, that comes back to the building of community. We live in a great community, and we want to do our best to work with the Board of Supervisors to have the best education system, to help with economic development, to really build the resources so that the students won't have to leave. Again, there's two sides to every student, whether they go on to a university or a college, or whether they go into the working world. The vocational program is very important. If you can graduate with a license, you're already beyond. You essentially have a license, a degree, and you're already making the best money that you can make. But it's the combination of all of those things to try to hold on to the students. We live in a great community with the mountains and the river. Generally, the kids growing up here love it here, and many of the constituents I talk with they go away and they really work hard to come back to raise families and to really benefit from the great community we have. So again, it's kind of a multifaceted. We need to work with the Board of Supervisors on jobs. We need to help provide and do everything we can to keep the kids here. But sometimes we need to let them go, and they find they want to come back pretty quickly.
Thank you. Mr. Gutshall, as a school board member, can you recommend policies that would entice our youth to remain in the county after graduation?
Yeah, it's a good question, and Mr. Shaffer touched on a couple of good points as far as the vocational. Didn't have an opportunity to really speak on Triplet Tech, but I think the opportunities at Triplet Tech presently are phenomenal. Although I didn't attend Triplet, I have gone there before. I have gone on tours there, and I think those jobs there are so important to our community here in Shenandoah County. I think allowing the students, whether they want to do the primary learning at the high school or if they want to go to Triplet and get some type of certification, I think that would be a huge asset to keeping kids around in Shenandoah County. And it's always tough because some kids want to move on and go somewhere else, and they may want to go out of state for school, and then they just don't want to come back. And that's unfortunate, but we have to work with the Board of Supervisors to be looking at job opportunities, because if that's one thing that we're really lacking in Shenandoah County, it's job opportunities. And a lot of people are traveling, having to go 30 or 40 miles to go get a job and work every day. I think we need to work on more positions here in Shenandoah County, and whether it's a student or a teacher, we need to have the opportunities here to keep them around here and want to live in our beautiful area.
Thank you. Anything to add? To close our forum tonight, each candidate has the opportunity to give a 2-minute closing statement, and we'll start tonight with Mr. Gutshall.
Again, I want to thank all the organizations that made our forum possible tonight. I want to thank Mr. Shaffer along with Mr. Hutton. This is definitely a big opportunity for me. A couple years out of high school, looking to help the community. I think we need a strong leader that is willing to listen to the people, that is thinking about the curriculum that is being taught in our schools, and putting the power in our parents. I think that has kind of gotten away from us a little bit as far as letting the parents have a say in what's going on in our school system. And I think that's really important, and I find a lot of importance in that. And I think just having a leader that brings a different view to things. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't have anyone on our school board that is a recent graduate of the schools or really knows exactly what's going on. And I think that it would be a nice addition to the school board to have someone that from the elementary level all the way to high school that went through this school system as of late, has relationships with our teachers, staff, bus drivers, whatever it may be. And I feel that I built a lot of them throughout the years, and have a lot of respect for those folks that work in our school system. They're very important to me, and I want to give back to the community that's given so much to me.
Thank you. Mr. Shaffer.
Teachers. Everyone has one teacher or one person that first believed in them. For me, I had two. Mr. Gallagher was not only my Spanish teacher, but also my swim coach. Mr. Smith was my vocational commercial art teacher and a neighbor in my community. Our relationships transcended the schools. I was friends with them outside of the schools, and the friendships continued throughout my life. I've taught and coached with kids since I could drive. I was previously elected to the board for 8 years. I have the experience. We accomplished much on the boards that I served on. Even a 35-year business career, I found myself drawn, or after a 35-year business career, I tried to retire but was drawn to the classroom to help out with a shortage of teachers. That shortage continues. In fact, Kyle was one of my former students. He was in 8th grade civics, where I taught about local government. And it's great to know that at least one of the students was listening. I've got great respect for Kyle and what he's trying to do. I've always been a great supporter of his. Yet in today's divisive times, the teachers are facing many challenges. That needs to be addressed. They spend hours outside of the school day struggling and trying to balance their lives, their personal lives, with the demands of work. We've kind of thrown out empathy and respect for the profession. We need to work on that, bring that respect back. Teaching is not a profession that one goes into to make a fortune. I've heard it said that teachers teach for the outcome, not the income. And that goes for the administrators, support staff, the bus drivers, cafeteria workers, the janitors, the professional aides. It's a top to bottom respect that we've got to build. Again, I'm running for the school board for my mom, for Mr. Gallagher, for the Mr. Smiths that have taught and inspired and nurtured generations. As we rise out of the pandemic, there's many challenges. I'm the only candidate with the experience to really be ready to attack those challenges on day one.
Thank you both. In closing, I'd like to thank again all the partners that made tonight possible: the Farm Bureau of Shenandoah County, Shenandoah County Education Association, the Alliance for the Shenandoah Valley, and the Shenandoah County Chamber of Commerce. Special thanks to everyone who helped out this evening. Thank you especially to our candidates for joining and participating. Thank you to everyone who submitted a question, and thank you to Hank Zimmerman with Shenandoah Valley Productions for the video support tonight. I remind everyone to either vote early or make sure you vote on November the 2nd. Thank you very much.